Today, I have our VP of Strategy and Alliances, Adam Dudley, joining as our guest. Adam, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and prepping for our one of our many meetings to talk with me today. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here, Corey. Look forward to providing some updated color and context on some things we previously produced.
Yeah, so today's topic is we talk a lot about CVSS, and back in 2022, I believe it was, Adam was doing an older video series called Shortcuts, and you did a video in an interview on CVSS 3.
Yep.
And, it's been 3 years. Obviously, something new has come up. So CVSS 4 came out,
Hmm.
I believe, end of 2023, beginning of 2024.
Sounds right.
Um,
Yep.
yeah. And the idea behind this is to really just kind of catch up and build on that original content and talk about, okay, now that 4 is here, and who knows, we'll probably do this in next month. They'll drop 5 on us, right? But
Probably. Then we'll just come back.
we'll
We'll
just
just
come
come
back.
back for another video. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So since that interview that you originally did, give me your thoughts. What do you think of 4? How much of an improvement was it over the previous versions, in your opinion? And just trying to get a sense for kind of where we're at with that as a scoring model.
Sure. So, I think one thing I want to say up front, and the short answer is yes, it's an improvement, but it's only an improvement if you actually use it as intended. And my understanding with in conversations with practitioners and security leaders is, oftentimes folks aren't using the full scope of the score, right? They're just using something called the base score, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But it's really not necessarily the quality of the algorithm or CVSS itself, the tool, but it's how folks are using it. So it's definitely, 4 is definitely an improvement over the previous, primarily because it incorporates a concept called a threat metric group. And that replaces the temporal metric group that was there previously. They also add a new group called supplemental group, which includes clear impact disclosures, finer base metric granularity. That's what I just mentioned a moment ago. And it adds some explicit focus for things like OT, ICS, and so on. So it really is generally a better signal for exploitability in real world context, something we talk about a lot here. And that comes up very, very frequently in my conversations with security leaders. But this only works, right? As I said, if folks are using the tool appropriately. So there's a few components that all have to work together. There's a base, a threat, and an environmental, and those are designed to be used together. And one of the issues is folks aren't using all those; they're just using the base. So really, the improvement and benefiting from that improvement of 4 depends on how a team is operationalizing it and the quality of the data that they're putting into the algorithm that is CVSS 4. So that's the real limiter, is how folks are using it.
So that should probably create 2 answers to the next question that I have for you, I'm guessing.
Mhm.
So the question was, how has the role that CVSS plays for VM teams, has it changed? And within Nucleus as well, not just for practitioners, but within our
Yeah.
product as well. Has it changed over the past couple of years? And I'm guessing that the answer, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I'm guessing the answer is
Uh,
probably in 2 ways. One way is conceptually or theoretically, and the other way is in practice, right? Because it sounds like in theory it should change, but in practice, has it actually changed as well?
yeah. Great question. So when I get on calls with security leaders, what I keep hearing over and over again in the last year or two is context. Like, that word is just being used very, very often in vulnerability management conversations. Security leaders, especially the larger the enterprise gets, they want more and more context, helping them to make faster and smarter risk decisions, and really know what it is that they should spend their precious time on. So, CVSS, it's still the common severity language across many different tools and many different enterprise security teams, and also in Nucleus, the product. We continue to surface it for our users. It can also be leveraged still in our automations in the platform, and so it's still heavily used by many of our customers. But the shift that I've seen since I recorded that last video a couple of years ago is that we're having this shift where enterprise teams are not exclusively using CVSS anymore as they were a couple of years ago. Now they're combining it and leveraging it along with things like asset criticality, ownership, live vulnerability intel, in other words, exploitability, like that threat metric I mentioned in CVSS 4. CVSS 4. They're using all those elements together because they have the technological capability to do so, to figure out what gets the attention and what gets fixed first. So, the new CVSS, if it's used correctly, it informs on, risk reduction, but only when blending with, multiple signals and having good workflows to back that up.
Awesome. So you just mentioned that, you speak with a lot of security practitioners
Mm-hmm.
and our customers, our partners. As you talk to them, and this is not so much the Nucleus take on it, but what are you hearing in terms of areas where they might have, I don't want to call them complaints about CVSS or
Mm-hmm.
but its limitations. Like, are there areas that they want it to kind of be able to kind of fit into and fill, and it's just not yet? Or kind of what's the prevailing wisdom out there as you talk to people?
Sure. I think it's useful to answer this to think of CVSS as an algorithm, right? It's as with any algorithm, it's subject to that garbage in, garbage out concept. And so, with CVSS, you have to provide the inputs for the scoring. And getting back to my original message, if folks are only using the base metric and not incorporating the environmental and threat metrics on top of that, which can be difficult to do in a manual setting, they're not going to get everything they can out of it. And that's where things like automation and, really streamlined workflows come into play. Also inconsistent data, not only if they're not providing the data, but if they're providing data, it's inconsistent or not that great. Maybe it's not normalized or it's not enriched in the right way. Then CVSS is not going to be as valuable as it could be to them. And frankly, they're probably missing really important signals.
Understood. All right. So this is always any interviews I've ever done, and this is just going to carry over into this one. But I noticed that in that last video, you asked a question. So I'm gonna throw this back and ask the question of you as we kind of
Sure.
look to wrap up this quick video. What's the future of CVSS and other similar scoring systems? We don't have to just limit it to CVSS, but other similar scoring systems, over the next couple of years. So we had a gap where we're talking about 4 now, where 3 years ago you were talking about version 3.
Hmm.
What do you see happening? And I really hope you won't use that 2-letter, 4-letter word AI, but I'm guessing that'll probably be in the equation. And for the record, we did not talk about this ahead of time. But what do you see as being the future for these scoring systems over the next couple of years?
Well, I don't find AI to be a 4-letter word like some folks do. I think it's a very exciting word and a very positive and optimistic word. So let me just establish the record on that. I'm not in the pessimist camp. I think we're doing incredible things with AI. So I'll go ahead and proudly mention it in a moment.
There you go.
um, so I think what happens in a few years, the picture doesn't look necessarily a whole lot different as it's looked in recent years, which is that CVSS still persists as a standard of sorts or a common language to talk about severity. But I think, and this is just like anecdotal on the different conversations I've had, but I think organizations are slow to change, especially and sometimes really big ones. Maybe not really big ones, but just any organization is resistant to change. So, I think it'll take a while for the CVSS 4, framework to proliferate out there. And I think, what will become the norm, and we kind of touched on it earlier, is the blending of this standard with new new themes, new concepts that folks are embracing, like focusing on exploitability signals, right? Coming in from vulnerability intelligence, as well as very fine-grained asset and business contexts. And having models, not necessarily AI models, but just models that are becoming more fine-grained and more tunable by the use of AI. So the AI is actually assisting in augmenting these algorithms and with the inputs, making sure they're high quality and making sure they're making the most out of the existing standards like CVSS. But, again, just to kind of circle back to the common thread running through all this, I think, success for using any of these tools really depends on the inputs, right? The quality of the inputs, the consistency of the inputs. And if, around here we talk a lot about black box, like severity and risk scoring, things like that. And, we're on the side of making things transparent and easy to understand. So I think that throws another wrench, potentially in the thing. It's like how to if people are using black box algorithms to determine severity and score risk, how do they know, the ingredients that are actually being put into that? How do they know the inputs and if they're high quality inputs or not? So I think those will continue to be concerns, but, again, CVSS, I think, will be a standard for years to come.
And I think that the one common theme that we've seen how long in computing now is the quality of the input determines the quality of the output. So it
That's right.
doesn't matter what the tool is as long as there's quality input. That's one thing that I hear from you, and I think it holds true here with the inputs that are coming in. Adam, brief conversation about CVSS. Thank you so much for joining and for being a part of this. Hopefully, I'll have you on again as we make future videos. And for anybody watching, as this is a new series that we're going to be putting out and going to be talking about various vulnerability and exposure management themes, probably AI. I'm sure the AI is going to be a part of future conversations, in threat intelligence, all of the things that are related to vulnerability and exposure management. If you have a topic that you want to cover, please put it into the comments or contact us and let us know, and we will make sure to put that into our rotation. Adam, any last words?
Yeah, I'll see you back here for the conversation on CVSS 5.
There you go. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching and take care. Appreciate it.
See ya.